care of these table of content or these items. The last and the final fourth component of this presentation is metadata management. Now, metadata we all understand is data about the data. Now, why its management becomes very important is because metadata management environment. So we have to create a metadata management environment whenever we are doing a BI initiative or creating a data warehouse, because that helps track, monitor and record changes to the data as well as documents. And its function is to provide the technical architecture and processes in order to manage corporate knowledge and governance. All data standards and policies. So even the standards that we set for the governance program also fall under metadata management. So even the policies, the data security policy that we define, that also becomes a candidate on which we have to do metadata management. The charter of governance itself becomes an asset to which metadata management has to be done. It allows organization to understand all these things. It allows organization to understand what are the sources of the data, what are the definitions. Now that's the biggest problem in any industry, that the definitions have changed over the years. The definition has been modified over the years by different business units for their business needs. So that is why it becomes very important to manage the metadata for the organization, because the new person joining needs to understand the definitions and how it has been evolved. How that particular thing is being used and what is the relevance of that use in the organization becomes very important. So metadata is the only component in this 4-component box that is responsible for driving the cost per asset as low as possible. If the same data, metadata is not managed properly, then same data gets repeated and sometimes duplicated, and there is no way to find out what gets duplicated. So the cost per asset increases. So if proper metadata management is responsible for driving cost per asset as low as possible. What is metadata management architecture? Now this is a science in itself, that there are tools available in the market which are responsible for doing metadata management. And now these tools, the metadata management applications, some people believe in homegrown applications using SharePoint or using portals that sit on top of the data warehouse. So any kind of data warehouse, if you see in this diagram, these are all transactional systems feeding through the ETL process into a central repository, and then there is a data mart process, a standard data warehouse initiative. But here there is a metadata derivation process that is sitting on top of the data warehouse. This becomes very, very important because it brings following benefits. When there is a metadata management process, both data and metadata integrity is ensured. There is one version of truth for all kind of data as well as metadata. There is synergy in processing data and metadata together. There is less process to maintain in both extraction and data mart creation. So we are extracting metadata in addition to the data from source systems, then the processes to be used are less. So data that has no transactional source system can be collected in a similar fashion, stored and backed up in the DW. Now one of the small advantage of metadata management process sitting on data warehouses, that there are some files where there is no source available, they have to be fed directly to the data warehouse. So even the metadata definition for those files for which there is no source system available also gets captured somewhere and can be tracked and monitored for its lifetime. There is a drill back capability. So all the analytic users can view the transactional data in the data warehouse. So if we have the metadata management process defined, they can view to the level of the data definitions, all the analytical users, so that becomes another benefit for the organization. And users can manage their own metadata. So if definition is changing over the years and somebody wants to change it, that happens at a one central place, and any kind of report, any kind of analytic initiative will tell you how the definition has changed. The 5 Ms of metadata, I'll go really quick because I think we're running out of time. So the 5 Ms of metadata are meaningful, mature, manageable, maintainable, and migratable. So metadata has to be meaningful, it has to be appropriate and adequate. So appropriate in terms of consumption point of view, adequate in terms of creation and storage point of view. It should be mature. So it should have been collected over time and how the definitions have changed. It should have preserved all the heritage and lineage of the metadata. It should be manageable. So the manageable in terms of, it has to be designed that what should be storage media, what is its capacity, how it can be scalable, what is the ease of use, how do you browse the metadata. Now I mentioned SharePoint as one of the metadata management tools. So there are, some companies have made browsers or portals on top of it through which metadata can be browsed. Maintainable. So the metadata has to be maintainable, there has to be versioning defined, there has to be an algorithm defined, there has to be a refresh process for maintaining the metadata. It should be migratable. So migratable I mean it should be shareable, it should be shareable to a new technology or new metadata management tool, it should be portable to a new hardware as well as the software. So these are the key 5 Ms of metadata that we have to keep in mind. Coming to the second last slide, common pitfalls in data governance. So all the data governance initiatives do not succeed because of these things. So beware of these things, that's why I have listed them out here. Lack of accountability and strategic participation. So that is the biggest pitfall. Lack of data standardization across IT infrastructure. Lack of awareness of business value of the data. Failure to manage data quality early in the data governance process. So we have to start addressing data quality as one of the key items at the start of data governance process. Cross-divisional issues. So in all the companies there are, ego problems and those kind of things between various departments. So that can lead to sometimes failures of big initiatives like data governance. And failure to recognize specific KPIs. Now this becomes very important because at the start when I said that data governance has to have a charter, in charter itself we have to define specific measures on which we want to measure data governance as well as data quality as well as metadata management and the data security. Lack of compliance monitoring. So there is no regulatory body that does the manual check. So that is cause of failure. And lack of training and awareness. So when we are running the data governance program, in the charter itself, we have to put how will we train people and how do we make people